Cocolo Travel and PekoPekoBox founder Axel Deroubaix. Thank you so much for joining, Axel.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Joy.
It's so nice to have you here again as a follow up because we did have a great discussion about 9 months ago. And
That's a
of
long
course,
time ago.
yeah, this is a very
Feels like
difficult
eternity.
time for so
Yes.
many travel industry. So it's so nice to catch up after 9 months. I'm sure it feels like a few years, maybe 9 years ago for you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it does. Yeah. So many things happened.
So thanks for joining again. We hope to catch up on how you've survived and some of your ideas during this time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
So for people who didn't watch the previous video, can you give us just a little introduction about you and the work you do?
so my name is Axel. I've been living in Japan for 11 years. As you can tell, my voice is a little bit gone, so bear with me. I've been running a travel related business when there used to be travel in Japan for almost 6 years. Called Cocolo Travel. And then as the COVID-19 pandemic started, we shifted our business model away from traveling as much as possible. And instead of welcoming people to Japan, which we couldn't do anymore, we tried as much as we could to bring Japan to people, wherever they were in the world. So in this case, with the PekoPeko box, and probably I will tell you later with new ideas that we have, that will come soon, we try to send Japanese um, items or Japanese experiences to the people around the world.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So the whole concept. Tell me about the core values and the concept for not only Cocolo Travel but also Peko Box. What are the main concepts?
Well, because these are two very different businesses, it's kind of difficult to put the core concepts in the uh, same thing. But I would say that what we try to do as much as we can is to be authentic. We try to provide things that are 100% Japanese as much as we can, even though as you can tell, we are not 100% Japanese ourselves. Although we do have Japanese staff, we try to be authentic. Yeah, I think authenticity is a very important concept for us, and I think that's the one that rules it all. There's so many businesses out there are trying to do things, but it's also very difficult to be authentic. So we try as much as we can to be authentic. Yeah.
Yeah, great. I have from your website your values here. So Peko Box items are
Yeah.
carefully selected by us before being packed and shipped with love. We also avoid using plastic whenever possible. Yay!
Whenever possible. Whenever possible.
It's
It's actually
hard.
becoming more and more
It's hard.
difficult.
Yeah.
Actually, the big winner of the COVID-19 crisis is the plastic.
Oh, don't say that. It's so
Yeah,
depressing.
it is. It is a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so whenever possible, yes. We
Yeah.
discussed this so many times. If you have to choose between a locally made, high quality item that you're going to use and love for a long time, or is higher quality but it's in plastic, you have to take it because that's the only option quite often in Japan, right?
I think. Yeah. I think it's also a matter of like you say, it's about people's values, and I think over time people start to realize the value that there is in non-plastic objects, and that are carefully selected, carefully uh, made as well, and can last longer.
Yeah.
So I can give you an example. Like for example, with the PekoPeko box, in the next box that we're gonna have, which is about the theme of the box is Asakusa in Tokyo, and we worked with a local brush maker. They make brushes of all sorts, including toothbrushes. And for them as well, it's difficult to avoid plastic, but they kind of have to sometimes. It's not always possible to have 100% non-plasticky things. So they create a toothbrush made out of horse hair, which is totally natural. However, the handle of the brush has to be in plastic. There's no other way around. And it's just these days, if it was, if the toothbrush was 100% natural, there would, reach a price point that I think would make it impossible for them to sell their.
Now, as a part of what you do you also have a consulting aspect where you say, would it be too difficult to have a wooden handle? Or, like, is it possible for you to very positively and very nicely make suggestions that might make it more sustainable?
Sometimes we imply things, but you know,
Yeah,
are
because
people willing to listen to you?
yeah, but if you can plant the seed
We do.
of the idea, yeah, and do it in a soft pressure kind of way. I
We
mean,
do in a
wooden,
very simple way, which is very often when we have the choice in between two objects, we tell them our clientele, our customers will prefer this one because it's a more natural one. And that is the most efficient way because when they realize that they will not be able to sell the plasticky one, then they're going to say, well, over time, I might stop producing the plastic one and focus more on the more natural fiber ones.
yeah,
I think
because
that's the best way. Yeah, you
wooden
vote with your money.
wooden handle toothbrushes are becoming more popular abroad.
Yeah.
And most of them are now imported to Japan. So you sometimes see them in shops. It's just slowly.
Mm.
You also introduced a lantern maker there.
And this is extremely special, and
Really cool.
this one was a revelation for us because we actually thinking of now creating a whole new business on the side because we realized that there are so many artisans, crafts people around Japan that are reaching an age at which they cannot really, I mean, they could, but I think they don't have the time to learn all the computers and social media aspects of things. But they're very talented at what they do, and they don't want to bother with, marketing themselves. So I think that what they need, seriously, is a platform that helps them, you know, showcase their talent to the world, and hopefully, with a very clever system in place, take orders from outside of Japan. And that is something that we want to try to do because this particular lantern maker is having a hard time with the COVID-19 crisis. And it has nothing to do with traveling in this case. It has to do with events. So he's in Asakusa, and every year in Asakusa for lantern makers, I think there's only 3 lantern makers there left. But there's a big event every year, and that's the Sanja Matsuri in Asakusa. And they make so many lanterns at that time. And I think it was canceled last year. And I don't know what the situation is right now, but last time we saw the guy, he told us, we don't know if it's gonna happen this year. If it doesn't happen this year, it's gonna be a tough year again for us. So we're trying as much as we can to help him by introducing what he does to new markets. So that would be like have your own lantern at home. These are kind of big lanterns. It's not. I don't know how I can show you the
I'm
size. But it's
showing
like,
some from your
yeah.
website. Yeah, they're
Oh, okay, I
beautiful.
see.
Beautiful.
But he has different sizes, of course. I think the smallest one could be the size of my head, and then the biggest one, of course, which is gigantic, is the size of my whole body, which is 1 meter and 80 centimeters or something like this. So he can do that, and it's very easy. And we could personalize the object, the item, by, when we take the order. Of course, he doesn't speak English, so we will have to help him on this. But he tells, like the customer tells the name of either their name or the name of their business, wherever they are in the world, and we try to find with ateji, the kanji, we try to find kanjis that match their first name or their company name, and we show it to them. Okay, this is how the lantern is going to look like, and he draws them. It takes a lot of time. It took him like 30 years for him to learn how to draw on a lantern, which is very tricky because a lantern it's not flat surface. It's got all these cavities everywhere.
Yeah,
So first
ridges. I
ridges, yeah.
assumed that they would write it when it's
Before.
flat
I know,
and
no,
then
that's
put
not.
it on, but he's in the picture here.
Yeah.
He's holding a finished lantern
Yeah.
and doing the calligraphy on it. Beautiful.
But that is because he's not the one making the lanterns. That's how the process works. I think he told us these are produced, made in Mito, which is somewhere north of Tokyo. And then he receives the lanterns. And then from there, in his neighborhood, like all these lantern painters, I call him a lantern maker, but he's not a lantern maker. He's a lantern painter. In his neighborhood, he has all the connections to people who usually buy lanterns from him. Restaurants, temples, businesses, and, Sanja Matsuri, so the Matsuri. And so he is in charge of taking the orders of how to personalize them. So that's our next idea, which would be to have a platform that allows all these very crafty people in Japan to be able to sell their craft, personalized items to customers around the world.
It sounds perfect because it's nice and light, and
In this case, yeah.
it would be easy to send.
Yeah.
Sending abroad is always an issue in terms of weight or size.
Yep.
You do such a beautiful job with your gift boxes in having such a great selection, but I'm sure weight and size is always a consideration, right?
It's more, it has to do with weight more than size. It's actually surprising how the post office and DHL and all the other carrier don't seem to care so much about the size of the object, of the box, but rather the weight. The weight is very important. So lightweight stuff are easier to sell.
Now, you also are featuring an Edo-style toy maker, miniature toys. How cool. Tell us about that.
This guy, this Oji-chan, this old guy, he's 70, what did he say, 75 now. And he's the last Edo toy. So he's not an Edo toy maker. Technically, he's the shop. And very often people just whiz by and they never see his shop, which is very tiny on Nakamise Street in front of Sensoji Temple in Asakusa in Tokyo. It's tiny. So everybody knows Nakamise Street. It's right in front of Sensoji. You've all seen photos of this. And most of the shops these days, I mean, not most, but like I would say 60 to 70% sell stuff mass-produced, coming from all over the world. Most of them coming from a big neighboring country, of course. And this guy, though, remained true to the Edo-style toys. And these toys are tiny. And that's the craft. That's where the talent comes from. These toys, during the Edo period, people couldn't be ostentatiously owning big stuff and show their wealth. But they still wanted to, in a way, show their wealth. So the clever thing that they did is everything had to be miniatured, which is why Japanese people over the centuries became very good at anything, cute and kawaii is small. So these toys are tiny, tiny, tiny. And the smaller, the more expensive it is. Some of the objects there were crazy expensive, and yet, they were the size of this. And he has the connection, of course, with all the people that make these toys. And he's been in operation since, I don't remember how many generations, but he took this from his father and grandfather before. And yeah, it's a fascinating story. And I don't know, maybe this guy either doesn't want to sell online, or for his business model, it doesn't really make sense to sell these things online. Or maybe there is no demand, but he's never made the move to try to digitalize his business. Maybe for the better, I don't know. But it was just interesting to get to know him, and we actually want to someday dig deeper into his life, his craft, and the history of his toy shop. And because we couldn't really include in our box such an expensive item, what we did is that he has a collection of postcards that are representing Edo period kabuki characters. And so we took some of the postcards that are cheaper, and we included them in the box.
Wonderful. Let's talk about Kamakura, because one of your recent boxes was the Kamakura box.
One. Yeah.
And you have so many beautiful short videos on your Instagram. as well as so many really cool local artisans from the area. Now, one of the things that people might find surprising is the coffee,
Mm,
including the coffee. Tell us about the
mm.
coffee makers.
The coffee maker. I think a lot of people that don't know Japan really well don't know that Japan is actually in love with coffee. These days, more than tea. Of course, they do the tea really well, but coffee is really the thing, a very, very fashionable thing to do, right? These days in Japan. And they have all these, what they call kissaten, old school coffee shop before, coffee shop chains took over. And this guy runs a coffee kissaten shop in Kamakura. So it's not Kamakura city itself, it's just one stop before that on the JR line. And yeah, it's a bell time coffee, that's what it's called. And he roasts his beans himself. And he has this old school roasting machine. And I remember when he roasted the beans, it was very precise. It had to be, I don't remember exactly how many minutes and how many seconds, but it had to be. So he explained to us that in order to increase profits, the roasting industry these days, they try to roast as fast as possible, to produce as much coffee as possible. This is actually not that good for the quality of the flavor in the coffee. He said to us that you have to roast for a long time. And this is how he's very proud of this. And he showed us with a microscope. He took a photo of the inside of the bean. And the longer you roast, the more you see some sort of beehive shape inside of the beans. It inflates like this. And he says this is where the quality of the coffee is, because the water goes inside of these beehive shaped inside of the bean. And then flavor infuses and produces better quality coffee. So yeah, Belltime Coffee in Kitakamakura, super interesting. We didn't know the guy, we just stumbled upon him. And then we said, hey, this is really cool what you do. Very, very iconic of the... We had a good time there and we said, why don't we include some of your coffee in the box? And surprisingly, he was very receptive to the idea. So he has one thing that we find in Japan, and we cannot find very easily outside of Japan, is these individual filters that you put on your coffee cup, so you can brew your own coffee without brewing for the whole family, right? And so what we did is that we included these filters and a set of 3 different roasts, and then we shipped them.
We have a great comment from Kelly Kawaii, who, of course,
Yeah,
has reviewed one of your boxes so
yes.
beautifully on her channel. She says, I agree. Not many people are aware how much Japan loves coffee. Hello, Axel. Thanks for
Hello,
joining,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Kelly is a big coffee drinker as well, so I'm
Yeah.
sure she enjoyed the coffee.
I like how you had the coffee sachets, but you also had a beautiful cup that you
Yeah,
included in the
that's
Kamakura box.
so that's not easy to do, but we try as much as possible to curate objects that sort of make sense with each other. We could have included the coffee on its own, but we thought, of course, everybody has a cup at home, but we were trying to find a way to, make sense out of the objects. So we included a cup as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did some great, like, beautiful videos of you guys going around Kamakura. Tell
Mm.
me about your philosophy about the travel videos going together with the box.
Yeah, this is actually quite tricky, and we're thinking more like over since we started, things have evolved, and so we met last time like 9 months ago, and we've improved on our way of making videos. We're learning a lot about how people consume videos and how people consume the box that we send to them. And over time, we realized that we couldn't really link these two together, just because the box is an experience on its own. It's contained within the box. People receive the box, and we cannot really control when people are going to be watching the videos. This is impossible. Are they going to be watching the videos before they open the box, as they open the box, after they open the box? Are they going to be watching the videos at all? We cannot include the videos inside of the box. So over time, we've learned that we need to separate those two. It just cannot be done together. It cannot be a set. So what we do now is that we run the channel on the side, and also it allows us, unlinking the box from the video allows us also to create content that is not necessarily related to the video. So to give you an example, in the coming box, we went to Asakusa, and we met with a rickshaw driver, pusher, I don't know, pusher. And we really loved it. We really loved the experience. We said, we are in Asakusa, everybody seems to be doing this, we're going to do it. We asked for permission to record the thing on video, and it turned out to be great. So much so that we said it would be a waste, a shame, not to go further and ask them, could we interview and follow you for a day and see what your life is about? And this rickshaw guy, young guy, 20-something years old, is actually very interesting because he's so in love with his work, his way of life, that he pushed his rickshaw. He's trying to push his rickshaw all around the world. So he has a YouTube channel as well and social media, and you can follow him. And he's making videos of him going on, the Forrest Gump Route 66, I think it is, in the US, with his rickshaw, pushing it all across the US. And but it still works. Now because of Corona, he cannot do it anymore. So he stays now in Asakusa. And so we followed him for a day. And that was extremely interesting. It's going to come out probably, our video will come out probably next month when we're going to be finishing editing it. And what we realize is that it's a fascinating industry, these rickshaw people. Because when I first came to Japan and when I saw them as a customer or just someone observing them in Asakusa, I thought these are just like college students who just wanted to make some money on the side. But no, and these people are really into it. And some of them do this, maybe not their whole lives because they're going to get too old for that at some point, but they really do this for years and years. And there's a whole community around it. And they have their Joren-san, their usual customers that come back, sometimes more than once a week, to enjoy 20 minutes with them running around on the rickshaw. And then they have social media, and people follow them on social media. And then there's some sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily like a ranking, but you know how Japanese people are with for example, how is it called? The Kamakura. And you have all the hosts, and then the host is the number one host, number two host, and they're trying to compete to know who's the most fashionable and the best paid host. It's kind of the same with this industry of rickshaw. They're all competing with each other to know who's the number one sales, number one, it's fascinating.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Sarah from Facebook says, "Ooh, look forward to seeing that." Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Yeah, let's go back to Kamakura, and I love the idea of the rickshaw drivers, of finding young people who are enthusiastic about different parts of travel in terms of the future of travel. But you also, through your videos and through the boxes, are supporting kind of an artisan industry like the postcard hand printmaker that maybe will not be around much longer, right?
Yes.
So it's really rare.
So this is Saito-san. Saito-san is also a good example of someone we're going to try to support as much as we can. He's also quite old, 70-something. And he owns a traditional printing press in Kamakura. Actually, not Kamakura itself. I've forgotten the name of the city. It's just next to Kamakura. But it's Kanagawa Prefecture as well. It's not far away from Kamakura, only a couple of stops away. And his craft is going to disappear, I think, at some point very soon, within 10 or 20 years for sure. There's not going to be any of those printers anymore, unless we do something about it, unless they change their way of seeing the industry. The problem with Saito-san is that he hasn't really, his business hasn't evolved since the day he started in Showa Jidai, in the 60s or 50s, maybe 60s, yeah, 60s. And what happens is that, of course, computers arrived, new ways of printing stuff, things changed around him, but he didn't really catch up with any of this. And it's not that the computers have to go inside of his business. It's just that his business needs to shift away from mass printed things and be more focused on customers who can appreciate the fact that these are made by hand. He's literally taking each and every piece of paper, each and every meshi, name card. He's going to take them. He's going to trial and error until he gets the right amount of ink, the right positioning of each letter. And in the end, slightly, ever so slightly, each name card will be a little bit different. So they're all going to be unique. And this is what makes it very special. And so what we're going to try to do, just like we're going to try to do with the lantern maker, is that we're going to try to have him on this platform where it's going to be made to order. People can order, not necessarily their name card, but like
cards or
exactly New Year's card, or when you invite people for your wedding. I don't remember the name for it in English, but these kind of cards, and he can personalize them, made out of washi paper, very good quality, traditional Japanese washi paper. So that's what we're going to try to do as well. Yeah.
Gorgeous. In Kamakura as well, you also feature a lacquer maker making chopsticks and different lacquerware.
Yeah. So lacquerware, it's more difficult because it's a bit more pricey and it's more difficult to personalize. What we can try to do, and we've been researching a little bit more about this. We're going to try to have people engraving people's names on chopsticks or on different sort of lacquerware, and to try to have, once again, made-to-order, personalized items. But we're going to try as well to do that, yeah.
In your video on Instagram about this product, you say it takes about a month to do the wood carving and then the lacquering. And so
the process is very long, yeah.
Because it's so labor intensive, of course, the price would also be higher, right?
Yeah, but all of these things, which is why we need to offer these on a different website than PekoPekoBox, because PekoPekoBox and PekoPeko, we also have we have a shop now, and people can buy items individually outside of the whole box concept. But the price is sort of in the price range where it's still reasonable, I would say. But because these items will be so labor intensive and made to order and specially made for you, it's going to be more expensive. So it's got to be on its own,
yeah. Kelly has made a beautiful comment. She says, I would love to see his business get more awareness and support. My heart broke watching this story. I think about the printing.
Yeah. His story is heartbreaking. We went back, I think, a week ago to interview him a little bit more to see how we can work together on creating these postcards, made-to-order postcards. And it turns out that, it's a pretty old couple, and his wife has a serious health condition, and she couldn't meet us. She stays in bed the whole day. That's pretty heartbreaking.
It's really hard.
But his attitude towards this, is actually, it's very Japanese in a way. He's never showing, I don't know how to say this, but he's always smiling, and he's always taking the good side of things. And, he keeps on doing it. He has a little garden that he keeps on, making his own veggies, and, a lot of things are going bad for him in his life. And yet, show must go on,
That's amazing. that power of resilience you
Yes,
often see in Japan.
yes,
It's really inspiring.
it is.
You also feature a young guy making kinako or taco senbei,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah. He's not actually making them. So this is like a small business. Very, I think they have maybe two or three shops around the area, and yeah, this guy is he's just the guy who sells them. But behind there's a whole production. Yeah. And what he's very good at is cutting them, though.
Yeah. And then also in the box is a hato. It looks
Hato,
like a
EPG.
fortune.
Yeah, that's it's we try to work also not just with artisans but also artists. Um, so this is a shop that's located at the very entrance of the main street of Kamakura, and they have a whole collection of items. And the lady who's in charge of designing the items is an artist, and this is a very small, good fortune uh, dove, pigeon sort of thing. And that is because in the main shrine of Kamakura, it is said that the divine spirit, the kami, was guided by pigeons. So if you look at the main gate of this shrine, at the top is engraved two pigeons. So that's why the symbol is pigeon.
Yes, I
And so
love
when you
that.
open it, there is a good fortune in it.
Very nice. Sometimes that's always surprising to me, even for children's fortunes. Sometimes you can get bad fortune.
Mm. But
So
not in this one.
not in this one,
Not
okay?
in this one.
Because
This,
I
yeah,
would be very upset if I
yes.
ordered it from Japan and it came and I had a bad fortune.
We made sure
That
in
would
this
be
one you don't have.
depressing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, good, good, good.
Actually, we call it good fortune, but actually, it's not really a fortune. It's more like, kotowaza, more like a proverb, just something to enlighten you,
Something to inspire you.
to inspire
So,
you.
yes,
Yeah.
lovely. I love it. Now, we should mention that all of your boxes that you're doing is about a $50 price point. That must be hard to do.
That's correct. Actually, it's very difficult to do. It's a challenge. But if you order more, we have this plan where the more you order, the lower the price goes per box. But yeah, it's very difficult to do. So we wish sometimes we go on location and we see amazing things, and sometimes we just have to say no, even though we wish we could put them in the boxes. So that's why we have the shop on the side, so that we can at least, you know, showcase things that are a little bit pricier. Because sometimes it's very difficult to put things in a box that is $50 here.
And then I also should mention to our audience, in case they didn't know, you do a giveaway as well.
Sometimes, yeah, that
Yeah,
happens. Yeah,
amazing. So
yeah,
you have like a giveaway daruma or a giveaway box sometimes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
people should follow your Instagram and check out the giveaways as well as the boxes, right?
Yes, yes.
Tell me about the daruma and I love this, the temple book that you can
Ah,
get, the
yep.
Goshuincho.
Goshuin-cho. This was an idea that we had originally to try to include a goshuin in each box. But we realized that we were fighting against, at some point we started to fight against um, the spiritual, not spiritual, the religious aspect of the item. Whether it was on the customer side, sometimes people are not religious, so they don't really want to have a religious item in the box, or on the provider side of things. So temples in Japan were not really welcoming the idea of sending these calligraphy, which represent the calligraphy that you get when you go on site, because for them it's a way to get customers, to get customers, to get believers to go to their temples or their shrine. It's like a gift that you can only get when you go there. So that you have to go there and you have to pray there. So you have to buy the item there. Some temples, so we did that with the first one. Some temples were more aware of the current condition, situation with the COVID-19 and the fact that people couldn't travel anymore. And so they were willing to e-commerce their religion, I would say, or religious items. But a lot of them were not. So it became too complicated. So we sort of gave up on that idea. But we still, thanks to this, we met with this lady who creates this beautiful Goshuin-sho, which is the book in which you're supposed to collect those calligraphies from each temple. And it's a book that opens like folded like this, like a old style book. And it's all made out of washi paper. And the lady who produces them is actually in Kyoto, and she makes them. And we tried it ourselves. Actually, when there used to be tourists coming to Kyoto, it was an experience that you could do with her. You would pay her a certain amount of money, and you could do your own washi paper and your own Goshuin-sho. So that was pretty cool. So we met with her, and the good thing is that we also support her now because of this. We discovered this lady, and we include a beautiful book in a new box that we have, and it's a beautiful washi paper book with the cover is also beautiful. It's yes, it's a wonderful item. We're glad we found this lady.
Sounds great. It sounds like a great way to provide a high quality item for people abroad, but also to support the local businesses. And that's like a core concept of why you're doing
That's
it,
the
right?
That is the core concept. The idea is to help everybody and make everybody happy. Yeah.
And
With
to also have a business that's
yeah,
sustaining during coronavirus,
yes,
especially, right?
also yes.
Um,
So, and if people want to know more about this particular item that I was talking about, it is actually in the new box that sold out in one day. So apart from the boxes that are themed around locations, we started to create boxes that are themed around particular interests. And we realized that people love Japanese stationery. And and of course they should because there's a lot of komakai, kawaii, small things, detailed stuff. And if you look on our website in the shop, there's the stationery box that we created, which is a little bit pricier, but only a little bit, $55. And we include that book in there along with other items that come from very small brands that we curate, that we find them, and it's in there. Yeah.
let's talk about reviews a little bit for people that have ordered your box. So Kelly is watching, and she did a beautiful review of opening the box for you guys. And she mentions as she's opening that she really appreciates how sustainable it is, that there's very little plastic, everything is packaged so beautifully.
Mm.
You also had a really nice review. This is from Kelly saying, it's so wonderful to receive these omiyage, so Japanese
Mm.
souvenirs. It's impossible to travel right now, so it's a nice way to travel virtually or
Mm.
travel and support local artisans. Have you found this kind of response from most of your customers?
Yeah, I would say 99%. There is 1% of customers that really didn't do the homework of trying to understand what we were doing, and but that's very rare. And then these customers don't really get it, so they they don't really understand what the interest of the item is. But most of the customers, 99%, are thoroughly enjoying the experience with us. They do understand that they don't just buy stuff from Japan. It's not just a consumerist sort of idea. They also buy an experience. Thanks to the videos, but also thanks to the little booklet that we include every time with beautiful photos and the stories of each item behind it inside of the box. And the packaging, of course, is beautifully made by my wife, actually. My wife works with me, and thank God she does. She's the Japanese side of the business, and she does a tremendous good job at packaging everything. She's the one responsible. Her little hands packing hundreds and hundreds of boxes. She's getting sort of tired of packing hundreds and hundreds of boxes every time, but she's doing it really well. And she's very And she's very Japanese. She used to be a graphic designer. She used to be employed by a big company as a graphic designer, and she's very, very good at all these things. I'm not very good at that. She's very, very good at these things. Designing stuff, choosing the right colors. Every box comes with a different color, different wrapping paper, a different mizuhiki. I think it's called mizuhiki. Sort of forgot the name, but it's like like this sort of lace. It's not a lace. What is it called? Oh, I forgot the word for it. But like it's like a craft. You know mizuhiki? Do you know mizuhiki?
Is it like a coaster that goes under the cup? No.
Mizuhiki.
Mizuhiki, water kitching, something.
No, like no, actually, no. It's not mizu like water. Actually, it is mizu like water.
Is
Sorry.
it? Okay.
Sometimes when you receive, you must have seen them at the 7-Eleven. You have these envelopes in which you put, 10,000 note bills to give as a gift.
Yes,
But
yes.
it comes with a beautiful,
Like a sticker? A seal.
it's a seal. It's a
Okay.
seal, but it's made out of threads.
Oh,
I don't
yes,
know.
yes, yes. I
Yeah.
have one. I have one right here. Somebody who I did a kimono trial and they made it. Is it like that?
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's a
Yeah.
mizuhiki. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a mizuhiki.
Okay.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Kelly says this is definitely the most unique box I've subscribed to. I love that it gives me an experience, and the YouTube videos that go with it are so great. And this is in another review as well. Let's see, let's bring it up from Jamie. It's
Yeah.
the next best thing to being there.
Yeah. Jamie and Kaylee are our two best supporters. They were with us from the beginning. They are with us from the beginning. They are the number one.
We have about, let me see, we have about 20 more minutes. Let's talk about what projects you're working on now
Mm.
that you're getting excited about. What's coming up? You said something's coming May 1st.
So May 1st will be the Asakusa box. And then the projects that we're working on now that we are very excited about. The first one is increasing the amount of products that we put on our shop and not just within the boxes. So trying to work more with local small brands, designers, artisans that produces items that are not too expensive but very, very Japanese and very local. And then the next project that we really want to try to lift off the ground is this sort of website platform on which local Japanese artisans will be able to provide their services for unique, personalized, made-to-order items, such as the lantern painter, Mr. Saito and his printing press, and all sorts of other items that we're thinking about. Mm.
Noticed also you were doing like some cooking videos. Are you doing any online like cooking classes or anything?
No, we're not. But that's actually this was for a different project for another company. We also trying to provide like a production company, video making company, content producing company for businesses. And this was a one-off. We wanted to see if this could work. It turns out that actually I'm very happy with the results, but we really want to use this as a way to promote what we can do to bigger corporations out there who would be interested, for example, in hiring our services to produce videos for them. Mm.
Looks like a lot of fun. And
It was very fun.
the video quality that you guys are doing, like the Kamakura video, the cooking video, it's all really high quality. Who's your videographer?
So it's for producing these videos, it's a collaborative effort. We have we are lucky enough that I have another company called I Explore, and we used to provide photography workshops to people coming from outside of Japan, and we would teach them photography in Tokyo or Kyoto and Osaka. This came to a stop with, once again, the current COVID-19 crisis. And so we also trying to shift this business away from this business model to a more, like I said, content creation, video production company. So my partner in the business, Lukas Palka, and myself, we create those videos. And then we have also, we are being helped with an editor who's in France, and a lovely lady who's very good at editing videos. And yeah, so it's a team effort. We do that all together.
That's great.
Because the other partner in the business, Aline, who is working with me at Cocolo, and my wife as well, they're working on the subtitles and also and the text and the storyboard, everything.
Yeah, wonderful. I noticed Eileen is also writing a lot of content on the website, like blog style.
Yes, she is. She's the writer of the company, yeah. And she's also in charge of social media. So very often when everything that we post, she's the one in charge of that. Yeah,
yeah, it's great. So you're a travel veteran. You've been in the travel industry for many years.
11.
What is happening with the concept of the future of travel? What will post-COVID travel look like in Japan, or what should it look like? What would you like it to look like?
I like it to look like something, first of all, because this has been going on for a year. Obviously, it's going to be 2 years without any, hope for travel to Japan. And I have a feeling, when I walk down the streets here in Kyoto, I have a feeling that people are not really ready yet to welcome foreign travelers. This has scarred the psyche of Japanese people, I think, for a while. So I'm not sure, I'm not quite sure. To be honest with you, I'm not very optimistic. So I think in a very, like if I analyze things and I look, coldly at things, I think that people who will be able to afford coming to Japan in the near future will be people with means. I think that for probably near future, mass tourism is not something that we should worry about anytime soon. So what's going to happen is that only the people that really like Japan, so they're really willing to invest a big portion of their budget for travel to Japan, or people that just have so much money that they don't care and that can afford to come to Japan will be coming to Japan. So I think these are the two kinds of customers that we will be seeing in Japan as far as tourism is concerned. People that are really willing to come to Japan, so Japan lovers, and people that have just a lot of money so they can do whatever they want. So in a way,
in terms of sustainability, hopefully that's for the better.
I think it's for the better.
People really choosing how they want to travel.
Yes.
Hopefully slower, more meaningful travel.
Yeah.
Which we talked about
last
right?
time, yeah. I think people will seek for meaningful travel, meaningful experiences, because up until 2019, it became obvious that, to me, working in this industry, seeing how people were traveling around the country, people didn't even spend time enjoying their travel anymore. So that was kind of concerning, and that was the concern that we were all ending up having before COVID, which was, where is this going? This is a circus. People going everywhere, anywhere, anytime. Not even, spending 2 days only in Tokyo and not taking the time to do anything and trying to do it all, trying to reproduce what they've seen on Instagram, hitting the spots, going on this. It was almost like a rat race of travel. I think this is coming to an end for the good, for the better. What's coming next? I'm not quite sure. I hope, like I'm sure you do, hope that it's going to be for the better, for a more meaningful, sustainable form of tourism. But this remains to be seen. We have no idea. Because there are also concerns with regards to how the government will be regulating these things. I remember last year at some point, the government or in the media, they were announcing things that actually made me sort of step back and reconsider what was going to happen, because they were announcing that they would only allow bus tourism. At some point, I can find this back, but at some point they were sort of guessing that the only kind of tourism that could happen post-COVID was the kind of tourism in groups where people are all shoved into buses, because this kind of tourism would be easier to control. We would know where the tourist would go from point A to point B. They wouldn't mingle with the local population so much. This is something that they were planning, because
it sounds like the last thing you should be doing during coronavirus, right?
I actually think it makes sense in a way. When you think about it in the mindset of the people who write down these rules, it makes sense, because then they can have total control over, they can trace really easily where people are going and who people are interacting with. If you have someone coming on their own, renting a car, going all over Japan, and, interacting with communities that have, for example, like in, I think, Tottori, where they've never had any COVID case, it's more risky, Most likely, people are going to be traced. I mean, let's face it. I'm pretty sure they're going to, have something
in
on
a
our
really
phones.
interesting development, most people coming from abroad, once inbound resumes, will be vaccinated. Compared to the Japanese population, we are much slower for vaccinations. So it seems less of a danger for the inbound traveling than for domestic tourism traveling before the vaccines are out. The Go To campaign, I'm glad they put that on hold again. They were about to start it again. But I know it was a good support for a lot of rural areas, hotels or ryokans. It's really tricky, right, to know how to
The problem you see
go
is that what you
forward.
say is very logical. If you look at it in a very rational mind, it's very logical. But I don't think that this has anything to do with logic. People are very irrational with these decisions, and especially the general public in Japan. So especially now that we call these variants, English, British variant,
Yeah,
South African variant, in their minds, the danger is coming from outside.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
it just doesn't compute for them that the virus doesn't discriminate this way.
That's true.
So
Yeah.
so
Now,
it's very rational.
the last time we talked, you mentioned that you were starting to kind of get more domestic customers, even for the PekoPekoBox. Have you had any more people ordering from within Japan or not really?
Not really, not really. We have maybe some people ordered from Japan for their friends or
I see.
families outside of Japan. But no, I don't think that this is something that people within Japan are considering.
Yeah. Have you ever, I wonder if, like you do the videos that go together with the box to
Mm.
extend the experience. Did you ever do like a live stream video with the customers and the artisans together?
We are thinking about this. This is also something that we could end up doing at some point. It is just that there's so much to do.
Yeah.
You see, there's so little time in one day, and we are such a small team now, especially after the crisis. We had to let go most of our people, so it's something that we wish we could do quickly, but to put it in place, to get organized, it's very difficult. Yeah.
How
Eventually, we
about,
will do it.
yeah, how about for domestic tourism? Because your slow travel tour site
Yeah.
can do domestic tourism into rural areas and stuff. Or have you put on hold the travel side as well?
We, sorry, we've really put on hold the travel site because I don't think we would be able to really target the local business, so the local population. So we've put it on hold. The other thing that we've tried to do with the other business, I Explore, is that Amazon has tried to create Amazon experiences. I think they're doing it um, relatively well, and so we've tried to do these experiences where we go with a phone and a gimbal, and we try to give the experience remotely. It's not really a viable business model, in my opinion, because first of all, people are not really willing to pay so much for these kind of experiences. And let's face it, no matter how much the technology improved over the last couple of years, it's never the same thing as actually being there
Yeah.
and having the full experience of being in Japan, where you can actually see for yourself, smell, everything around you, taste the food. It's never going to be the same. Never.
Yeah.
So people are not willing to invest that much money. And we realized this by doing this ourselves. The experience was sort of, what they say in Japan, chuto hampa. It's not really, it's trying to get there, but
Not
it's not really
here
there.
nor there.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
here nor there. So people are trying to enjoy our experience with the computer, but we know that once they look around, it's their boring room. So it doesn't really work.
Yeah. I hadn't heard of that, Amazon experiences. I knew
Because they're not in Japan yet.
Airbnb experiences. There's a bunch of companies doing like virtual
Yep.
engagement, virtual tours.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's a limit, and then there's a lot of stuff for free. So people
Mm.
think, well, why should I pay for
Yeah.
something I can get for free, right?
Yeah. 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 And some things this might apply better for other things. So, for example, a cooking class, if it's done well, if you receive the ingredients beforehand and it's well prepared, I guess I can see this happening where you have the computer in your kitchen and you have a live experience with an actual chef on the other side. I think especially those live experiences will only really work well if it's on a one-on-one basis. And I think this is what Amazon Experiences is trying to do. They're not available in Japan yet, but they are available in the US. This is all in its infancy. But the live experiences where hundreds of people can join at the same time, people are not willing to really put money for this,
Yeah.
or very little.
Once domestic tourism resumes a little bit, would you be able to put people in touch with some of the artisans you work with to set up
Totally.
a workshop if they can get there, or is that difficult now?
I would say it's not about the difficulty of getting there. It's the difficulty of convincing these people and organizing and putting the whole thing together. So I'm thinking, let's think about, for example, the lantern maker, a workshop, a lantern painter, a workshop that involves painting on a lantern. I mean, I can see this happening, but it would be very difficult to put in place, to
Yeah.
organize. There would need to be a translator there.
Yeah.
It would be a mess.
Plus, he's practiced for so many years.
30 years.
It's not like you
Yeah.
can learn it in 30 minutes, right?
No, you cannot do that. You cannot
It's
do
a
that.
bit of a problem.
It's a bit of a problem.
But I love all of these connections and networks that you're creating
Mm,
around
mm,
Japan in
mm,
so many different areas of these kind of dying
mm,
arts
mm,
that you're perpetuating and you're
mm,
documenting and
mm.
you're
Actually,
doing the
yeah,
interviews. So that in itself is very valuable.
yeah. I was thinking with my partner in the iExplore business, Lukash. We were thinking about maybe creating a series of videos, and maybe the title could be like Legacy, because all these people really have a legacy. They have something to teach to us. They went through a lot, and they really put a lot of heart into, they devoted their lives to whatever it is that they do. And I think that this is something that more and more we're sort of losing. People change jobs like this, bam, 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 they're just changing all the time. But these people, I don't know, I don't know if they're all going to disappear, if this style of life is disappearing. No, just yesterday we were creating a video for a bigger corporation, and we were interviewing a geisha here in Kyoto, and I see their lives, and I really wonder, is this way of life going to disappear? Not just the geisha, but just this way of life where you say from a very young age, this is what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing only that, and I'm going to be the best at it, no matter what, over the course of my entire life. And it starts from 16 years old. It's very, very young, I guess this is a kind of, it's something that's fading away. So we want to try to document it, to preserve it.
Well, you're doing it so beautifully. So Netflix or big company, if you're watching, I would love to watch a series done by Axel's company. So please get in touch. No, seriously, if you were combining these into kind of a series that people would pay a subscription to watch, because you have the media company, it's not a bad idea.
It's very tricky to reach to the level of Netflix, but it would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you for everything you're doing, and I know it's a really frustrating time still to continue what you're doing. So fingers crossed we can start getting vaccinated and moving forward back into travel a little bit. But I'm really excited to see what you'll come up with using all of these great connections and documents that you've done, documentaries. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Axel.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you, everybody, for watching today and for your wonderful comments. Tomorrow, 6 a.m. Japan time, I'm talking with Jeff Asgard about his travel company, and he's based in the U.S. So we're doing a very early live stream tomorrow morning. If you're up, please join us. Yeah. Thank you so much, Axel. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.